You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode. Good morning and welcome to Power Talk. I'm Micah Ponce, the Communications and Media Specialist here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative, joined by Miss Libby Roig, the Director of Marketing and Communications.
Good morning, Micah.
Good morning. And of course, we have the man who needs no introduction in studio, Mr. Eddie Plowden himself.
Good morning. And the myth, the legend.
Good morning.
The official title is Director of Energy Services. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Back to the show. You're just a regular. We like having you here.
Well, let's talk energy to help our members.
Well, we can do that. We can also say, hey, weather's cooling off. So, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about because, now that it's cooling off some, we actually have to start turning on the heat here in the Low Country. We do use heat from time to time. I know it's mainly air conditioning, but
maybe for 2 days and then the air kicks on another 2 days.
But, we're actually getting into heating season. So, whether it's wood or running gas or using electric heat, here at the co-op, we're focused a lot on, heating and cooling seasons because the air conditioning and heating your home is going to amount to about what? How much of your bill, Eddie?
I mean, at least half your annual bill is heating and cooling.
So you hear that, folks? Half of your annual bill is right nothing but heating and cooling. So it's that thermostat setting is one of our keys. So what do we say, Eddie? This is the heating season, so what do we want to set it on?
Normally 68 is the goal.
Okay.
And then, of course, for every degree above that, 3 to 5%, depending on your heating system. So it does add up as you go warmer than that. So, plan on it being much hotter, higher bill if you're setting it up 72, 73, 74. The higher you set it, the higher your bill is going to be.
Well, like my mom always used to say, just break out another sweater,
Well, and that is what we're after, is educating our members that, okay, here's the optimal temperature, and we get that that's not going to fit everybody. We have some older folks who maybe stay a little bit colder, so they maybe need a couple extra degrees or a couple extra sweaters, but we really want our members to be informed that, okay, I'm making a choice to set it at this, and I know I'm going to pay a little bit more. Or if you back it down a couple more degrees, you might save a little bit more. I know at night we typically run ours at maybe 65 during the winter.
Yeah, and of course our smart thermostat program allows you to let the thermostat set it back when you're not there. So it's a very, very good tool available from our program.
Well, the question is, how smart do you have to be to set a smart thermostat? I mean, I know when they first came out, they were kind of hard. Are they a little bit easier these days to program?
They're easy, and there's an app that goes with it, so you can set it and scale it down, up and down on your phone, or, you can actually walk to the thermostat and touch it and change the thermostat and the settings. So it's very easy, and a lot of times when it's not sensing somebody's home, it'll cut the temperature back for additional savings. So good tool.
And we had a couple of different styles of digital thermostats, not the smart, but just the regular digital. And I could never figure out how to program those things, but I love the Ecobee. It really is user friendly, and if you're good with this smartphone, you can handle an Ecobee thermostat. Yes. I'd say.
Well, like they said, there's an app for that. There's an app for everything these days. Well, I mean, we're talking energy, we're talking winter. We're talking, thermostat settings and ways to keep that energy bill down because, like we said, heating and cooling your home is 50% of your cost. But, Eddie, what's your official recommendation? We've talked about thermostat settings, but what's your official recommendation for the most efficient form of heating your home? I mean, a strapping man like me, I like to go out there and chop the wood and burn it in the fireplace. But I mean, that might not be the most efficient way to heat my home. So what's your official recommendation?
So you're gonna buy a truck for all that wood and chainsaw, and then, we recommend air source heat pumps, as being the most efficient, for our members and cost effective from that standpoint. And when we talk about like if you had electric furnace or electric heat, and a lot of our the manufactured homes, a lot of them have electric resistive heat. So a lot of the even the apartment units had electric resistive heat, and that's 3 times as much energy used for the electric resistive as it will be for a heat pump. And a heat pump is basically moving the heat from outside to inside, just like it does in the cooling mode. It's basically taking the heat from inside your home and dumping it outside. So it's just a reverse in the wintertime. It does it very efficiently, and it's getting more efficient as we go forward in time. The equipment gets more efficient.
So, Eddie, why do we see these electric furnaces being put in mobile homes and apartment complexes? What's the appeal? If they cost so much more to run, why would somebody go that route?
Well, it's about how much does it cost to put the equipment into the place,
Okay.
to start with. So it's first cost.
Okay.
And typically you're talking about $1,000 to $1,500 more for a heat pump over electric resistive, unit. Of course, looking at savings, you'll get that savings back in 1 to 2 winters.
Okay.
So it's a very quick payback.
So we're seeing folks put the furnaces in because they're cheaper to install up front, but they're going to cost the person who's living there a lot more on their bill. So even though there's a little more upfront cost for the air source heat pumps, we need to go that route to save over the lifetime of.
That's exactly what we recommend as a heat pump over electric resistive.
Okay.
And then, of course, if they put the Energy Star rebate, we want to talk about the federal rebates, but the Energy Star, you get $2,000 up to $2,000, for that also. So that pays for the extra cost right away, but that has to be even a more efficient unit.
Okay. Awesome.
So that's just rebates just for your plain old heat pump, which is a little bit of a misnomer because, like you said, it actually does cooling too, not just heating. So it's just one of the more efficient types of units that we have here in the Low Country based on the climate that we've got down here. Because,
Right.
Like we said, it's mostly cooling, but we do have those few months where we do need a little bit of heat. But luckily, we don't get too cold most of the time down here. Snow is a little bit of a rarity, and ice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, thank goodness I'm going to knock on wood because we do not want any ice to come our way.
Yeah.
But you can be heating, wake up in the morning heating, in the afternoon get so warm you need to cut it to cooling.
Yeah.
So that's welcome to the
Low
great
Country.
place to live.
Yeah.
Well, we were saying that you get regular, rebates for regular heat pumps. There's dual fuel. They believe they have rebates for those as well. That'll help pay for the unit itself. Is that correct?
And the rebates are based upon going from a non-heat pump over to a heat pump. So if you had electric resistive heat and you put in a heat pump and that qualifies at the 16 SEER, which is that's an efficiency rating. The higher that number, the more efficient, the less power you use. And same thing for if you had gas heating. If you went over to a dual fuel or heat pump first stage and gas is the backup, then you can also qualify for those rebates. And, of course, rebates from Brook Electric Cooperative.
Well, we're talking about the dual fuel program, and I guess we might have put the cart before the horse a little bit because, we're talking about this and that and the other, Personally, I still get mixed up on dual fuel. I want to spell it like, I want to spell the dual like fuel, which is not actually the way it goes. Because
right. That's more like a dual.
Pew, pew.
Right. Pew, pew. It makes it sound like they're fighting each other.
We're talking about two.
Right. But in this case.
It's a fuel duel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep this up. We'll talk through this way.
It looks better if you spell them the same way.
It's dual fuel, not fuel duel.
But in any case, that's the exact opposite of what actually happens in a dual fuel unit. They're not fighting each other. These two
They're working
different
together.
They're working together.
Oh.
That's right. Living in harmony. So, all right, let's break it down, I
what
guess.
is dual fuel?
What is a dual fuel heat pump and how does it differ from just your regular heat pumps? Let's take it back a step.
A dual fuel is when you have a heat pump. So your first stage, thermostat normally has 2 stages, especially in the heat pump, system. And gas is a single stage. It just does, gas heat the whole time. But when it gets down to a balance point is when the heat pump cannot keep up with the home on the first stage, on the most efficient side, and it needs to back up with electric resistive heat. In this case, the backup is gas heating. And it switches over completely from the heat pump mode to the gas heat. And that provides comfort and also, some savings compared to electric resistive at that time. So it's a great system. And you know, somebody has gas heating going over to this is significant savings.
Okay, but you said a tipping point. So typically, what is that here in the Low Country? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
What temperature are we talking?
In the mid 30s.
Okay.
If you have a home that is, you know, is leaking a lot, you know, so this is a winter tip. Look out, it's a winter tip. So if you had a home that you're seeing the electric resistive heat or that light coming on, saying backup heating is coming in at 40 or 45 in that range, that means one of two things. You know, one, there's a very bad problem with your heating and cooling system as far as your performance, or something is wrong with your, we call it the shell of the house. The duct system's got a leak. There's something that's messed up in the home as far as delivering the heat into the home. So definitely recommend an energy audit from Berkeley Electric Cooperative. We can help with that. We also have a loan program to help finance replacing that unit. So, you know, if you're seeing the strip heat coming in at, you know, 35, well above 35 degrees, then you know you have problems. Was it doing it last year? You know, last year was it, you know, heating down to the mid 30s and then the strip heat comes on, and then this year it's not, then you know you have a problem. We would recommend getting that serviced. Certainly using one of our Home Advantage or approved contractors can help with that.
Eddie, how much more expensive is the strip heat to run on your system than just the regular system?
A lot. So
okay, so you see that little light come on.
I mean, typical heat pump, you know, system is going to cost for average home 1,900 square foot or so, and that range is going to be about $550, say, for a heat pump, but it'd be triple that for electric resistive, you know, heat.
Yeah.
It can be like $1,500 for winter, you know, to heat.
Wow.
So it's significant. So the actual savings could be, you know, 1 to 2 years. You get that paid back. If you qualified for the Energy Star rebate, then you could get that money back right away, and then save the money. So it's a very wise investment to go with the heat pump over electric resistive.
Well, like you were saying, you know, when we're talking about being more efficient when we come to heating and cooling our homes, like you mentioned, there's basically 3 steps. We want to produce it efficiently, so we want a unit that's going to produce that heating or cooling efficiently. And then, as you mentioned, your ductwork, we want to deliver it efficiently, so we don't want to have any leaks or anything in our ductwork. And then we want to keep it inside the house, so we want to make sure there aren't any air leaks or anything along those lines, windows, underneath sinks, plumbing intrusions, all those little things that you can watch out for. So yeah, it's key. Just because you're generating electricity more efficiently doesn't mean you're necessarily saving if the rest of the house isn't keeping up with it.
And at any point in those 3 areas, if something goes wrong, if you got a hole in your ductwork or your leaky house or your system's not running well, it's going to hit your pocketbook. And, you know, we're here to help. Yeah, yeah. You're not going to be as comfortable in your home, but I'm not comfortable when I'm wasting money. So,
well, I'm ready to go on a varmint hunt because we've got a store that we have on Main Street, and we've been hearing a varmint lately, and we just had somebody come out and look at our unit, and they found out that the varmint has made quite a mess of the ductwork underneath the home. We've got a whole bunch of return vents that need to be replaced because somebody's been under there just having a field day.
Yeah, raising a family.
Yeah,
tearing them up.
Yeah, tearing it up. So I mean, something as simple as a raccoon or sometimes even cats get up under there and they'll make a mess of it. But
we had squirrels get into our ductwork.
Yep.
The key was I saw the insulation was at the top of the vent that comes in through the floor. I was like, I don't think that's supposed to be there.
No, it's not.
Well, we're talking dual fuel, and we're talking varmints, and we're talking heating and cooling the home, and we're talking dual fuel, and we said that it's a little bit more expensive when you get that first initial upfront cost, but we're also offering incentives to make it a little bit less painful to make that switch. Can you tell us about those?
Yes, if you're going from gas, heat, all gas heat, and then switch over to the dual fuel heat pump first stage, and then gas as a backup, we're doing $1,000 rebate for that. And then, of course, if you go from the heat pump over to dual fuel, there's really not any winter savings whatsoever because the heat pump is so efficient. You're just not getting savings, from that. So we'll have a much $500 rebate, so a smaller rebate. So we're recommending the focus is on homes that have gas heating, going over to the dual fuel, and rebates available for that.
And aren't there federal tax credits as well that are available?
Yep, so up to $2,000 federal tax credits for that. And then with the IRA rebates is going to be available for next year through 2032. There's going to be even more, especially for members that are a little bit lower income.
And the IRA is part of COVID relief. What's our IRA?
Inflation Reduction Act. So
Okay.
it's separate.
Okay.
Enacted.
And just to clarify, because I know sometimes it's a little bit confusing for folks when we're talking about, $2,000 and tax credits. For when it comes to tax credits, that's not something you're going to see immediately off the cost of the unit up front. That's something that's going to be applied to your tax bill at the end of the year.
You'll file for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that, it can be a little confusing sometimes because we're talking about rebates. We're a little bit, that's where you get it much
Cash in hand.
like a
cash in
purchase.
hand versus your federal tax credits, which you get at the end of the year. So when you're planning to make this type of purchase, make sure that your finances are straight so you know exactly what you're getting. We're talking, dual fuel and how it's a little bit, more efficient for members. And we're talking about like comparing it to an existing home. I mean, I guess how much more efficient is it when you're talking about, switching over to the natural gas heat versus the electric heat? Efficiency is key.
I mean, for a typical, as we mentioned, kind of like a 1,900 square foot home, you're looking at like $250, $300 savings in a winter, for the natural gas. And of course, if it's propane, it's going to be double that savings for all propane heat versus going to a heat pump, dual fuel, system.
And as far as
significant savings,
the gas source, it doesn't matter. It can be natural gas or propane for the backup.
Yes. Yeah, there's bigger savings if it change out propane over to the dual fuel heat pump first stage, and the gas is a backup.
Yeah,
that's going to be dependent though on like what area you live in though, because like natural gas is not going to be available everywhere.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's whatever's in your home. I mean,
but you can use propane if natural gas isn't available.
Right.
You just won't save as much.
Yeah, members know they pay that bill one place or another if they have gas heating.
Okay.
Berkeley Propane would be a great
Happy to
place.
help
Glad to help you.
Well, for those of you who are just tuning in, we're about halfway through the show, and we are talking to our very own energy guru, Mr. Eddie Plowden, about our dual fuel program, ways that you can save energy tips throughout the winter and just all year round. We're talking all these kind of fun stuff with dual fuel and how much you can save. But, as Ron Popeil used to say, but wait, there's more. And in case you're not familiar, that was the king of infomercials. I don't know if you've ever...
Food dehydrator.
You remember the Chop-O-Matic?
Oh, yes.
The Chop-O-Matic?
yes,
How about
yes.
the Ronco Pocket Fisherman? It was a small little one that you could literally fit in the back pocket.
Micah,
you could go out.
did you just have this in your head, or did you do some research?
You don't remember the Ronco Pocket Fisherman? It took the world by storm. But
So
no, I don't.
You had it in your head.
Yeah.
Tell you what, people, Philistines. I'm working with Philistines.
I'm get the spray, sealer and all that kind of stuff. We got new people on the block now, selling, all kind of products. But ours is not. Ours is something here to stay.
Yes.
Micah. So.
Well, I mean,
and like for example, the our Home Advantage Loan Program, which is our financing program that we will do, $15,000 up to at 5% interest, which is a great interest right now.
Yes, especially now.
For our members. We've been doing own bill financing since the 80s, early 80s, even before Eddie. That's a BE.
it was even before the Ronco Fisherman.
That's right, exactly. But this helps members. We do professional energy audit on the member's home, where we do a blower door. Basically, put a fan in the front door, blow the air out. We find the holes, the leaks in the duct system, and what is coming from attic access doors. Knee walls, underneath plumbing, as you mentioned earlier, the key places we hunt for finding. And there's very simple areas we can seal up. Once you find them, identify them. It's like, a can of spray foam or caulk, or it might be an attic tent for your attic access door. So these are not expensive items to seal your home up, much better. But they go along with our Home Advantage Loan Program. Our goal is help the member get Financing own bill, which makes it very easy, low cost for the member as far as the loan itself, and the using professional contractors that know what they're doing. Using our guide, as far as our energy audit.
And the goal is for the member to save enough money by reducing their energy usage to offset the note cost that's going to be on their bill. So we want them to kind of break even, and then once the loan's paid off, it's just free money for them.
Yep, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So all of this is recommended as improved comfort and also energy savings, wise investment in energy.
Yeah.
Savings.
So Eddie, why is the electric company concerned about helping members save electricity, not only by making improvements in their home, but we're advocating the use of gas during peak demand times? Why would the electric company do that?
Well, we're a member-owned electric cooperative, but as far as managing the grid, better, certainly it's a wise investment for members to switch from gas over to a heat pump, but also from a grid standpoint, it's not a peak demand during the coldest winter time. If you look at last winter when we had Christmas Eve, it was a very, very cold morning, and it was very high demand for electricity during that time period. So higher demand cost us wholesale, more money. So this is a wise use of energy management from that standpoint. And you've heard me mention about a home that has dual fuel also can open up an opportunity for having electric car in the home to do level 2 charging, like 7.5 to 10 kW of charger, and then not have to worry about the peak heating needs for electroresistive heat.
So as a not-for-profit electric cooperative, our residential power is largely a pass-through. We're not looking to make money off of selling power, so to our members, since they own us, therefore, if they save money, that's good for everybody, right? And if we're lowering the demand during those peak usage times, that lowers our wholesale costs rather than increasing the demand and the costs.
Yeah, we're about just trying to get the cost of the power plus our operating costs plus a small margin. Of course, capital credits is part of that, and that members get back over time. But we're not. Our goal, if we can help members lower their power bill, that's great. That helps. That's a win-win.
Rolling it back to the Home Advantage program and the way that it works, it's what we call a prescriptive program. Is that correct? We're going to go in and we're going to identify. We're going to say these are the key areas that you need to change, and if you would like to do all of them, then you can qualify for the loan. Is that correct?
Yes, we're basically replacing that. Normally, members are coming with a unit that's bad, old, and we don't recommend really even changing it out until it gets closer to end of life, or it's not having repair problems. From that standpoint for your HVAC system, and then we can help diagnose if the duct system is bad and they need to replace it, and we will prescribe that in the audit, to the contractor, to the member.
So what are the key areas that y'all normally find when you're doing the Home Advantage loan program that you're saying, all right, these are the things that you actually need to make the big improvements on? You said HVAC and the duct system. Are those going to be your primary drivers for what's driving the Home Advantage loan program and what they need to change?
Yes. Okay. That's the big savings is going with a much more efficient HVAC unit than what you have. As far as its operating efficiency, the duct system, if it's good, then we'll be to find that and just find small leaks, like maybe the grills in the attic where they come through are leaking, then to be sealed up. So it's just pull them down, caulk them, and then put them back up, and then put your new system, get it tighten up. So, and then the little stuff around the house we'll identify.
Well, I think one of the things that a lot of people have the misconception is that windows, unfortunately, are a place where you do have a lot of leaks, but you don't get a real big return on your investment for doing like your double pane replacement windows or anything. So that's not something that we typically recommend. Is that correct?
That is correct. If you have basic double pane, or even if you have storm windows that are sealed up on there, you're not going to get your money back from that. You think about it, like a single window could be $500 for that one window. You may save $2 or $3 per year, or even $1 a month. It's going to take a long, long time to pay that back. But if it's broken, we recommend getting it. We can finance it if it's broken and bad from that standpoint. It's got to be replaced. We do finance those with the Energy Advance Loan Program. That would be through Farmers Merchants Bank.
Mm-hmm. An Energy Advance program that has a little bit more of a high interest rate, but then you can also sort of pick and choose what you would like to address. I really only want to do right now, really only want to do the heat pump, or I really only want to do the ductwork, or even, like you said, the windows.
I mean, we'll do the Home Advantage for ductwork, replacement from that standpoint. But and the heat pump normally is going to be tied into other weatherization items, from that standpoint. So,
well, we talk about my house several times on this program before, the episode of This Old House, and I actually did do the replacement vinyl double pane windows, but that was more because my house was built in the 50s. When we first moved in, whenever the train went by, all the panes would be rattling in the glass. So a little bit of a different situation. That was more aesthetics, and I didn't know how to reglaze a window, and we have like 24 some odd windows in the house, and I was not going to take that on. So that was just more of a, an aesthetic. The wife said it was going to be done. By golly, we did it.
Well, I mean, it certainly makes the home quieter, relative to outside. It does do improvements to the home itself. So you're not looking for energy savings, but there's, value to it from your standpoint. As far as sound, it does improve comfort when you're around the windows. So there's benefits, but don't do it for thinking you're going to have see your power bill drop down a lot. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. What about insulation? Do we do much insulation work with the loan programs, or?
Most homes have, we're here 2023, so homes that have been built in the last 10 to 15 years have pretty good insulation. It's when we get into those old homes where we have to add insulation in there, like a Micah's home is built in the 40s, definitely need to be sealing that up. Probably don't have any even insulation in the wall whatsoever.
I doubt it. No. What's the recommended R values that you would say for like insulation on a home?
I mean, normally it's R19 in the floors.
Okay.
And that's typically, fiberglass insulation. Then you would do R13, R15 in the walls, and then R30 or R38, in the attics. So that's the levels.
Well, I mean, talking a lot about ways to save, and we've gone over some of the programs that we've already got existing. So I mean, what are we looking for in terms of the Energy Services Department as we head on into 2024, into the next year coming up? What are we looking at as we move ahead with the Energy Services Department?
Well, Micah and Libby, if you got something really good going on, then you need to try to continue it and do it better. So, I mean, our goal is, of course, to continue our smart thermostat program, where you're getting Ecobee, other thermostats, bring your own thermostat to get energy savings. Our electric water heater programs. Also, we'll talk more in 24 about what is a heat pump water heater. So that'll be a teaser for next year. Surge protection, of course, our energy auditing and proactive high bills. We love to try to find and help members that have a phenomenally high bill when the billing comes through, and then contact the member and help them resolve that, figure it out, and get that as quickly as we can. And of course, our Home Advantage loan program. Our goal really is to provide energy wisdom to our members, improve their members' comfort in their homes, and use technology to move the time that members use power to the off-peak time period. And see, that helps the members if they're on time of day rate, and just helps our grid out. And grid means it helps us be able to handle the capacity as we grow in our community. As we do economic development, we're adding more need for power. As we're adding electric vehicles, we're adding more need for power. So we need to use it more wisely. And that's a big goal, but our time of day rates and then
Yeah. And a couple of our programs, Smart Thermostats and the water heater, have a voluntary load control program attached to them. So that's a really easy way to help lessen the demand during peak times.
Yes. Yep. Both of them are load control and wise use of using it at the right time.
Yep.
Well, folks, you've been listening to our energy guru, Mr. Eddie Plowden, and of course, our faithful co-host, Miss Libby Roig. This is Micah Ponce, the communications guy here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative, and we are wrapping up another edition of Power Talk. You can always find us on your popular podcast streaming platforms, and if you want a behind-the-scenes look, you can join us on YouTube as well. So until next time, this has been Power Talk, and we're signing off.